Hello everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of On Location with Zara, produced with the support of Telestory Hive. And I'm just so excited to have an amazing guest in the house today here. She is an author, she's a very inspiring online influencer, she's an actress, she's a model. I've known her for almost 2 decades. At one time we were also neighbors. And I backtracked one of her photos and I found that we were in the same fashion show for Vancouver Fashion Week many years ago. She was a beautiful bride in the show. It was this Italian couture designer. And I'm just so excited to have her here with us on the show and bring to you Lindsay Maxwell. Today we're going to be talking about her journey and most importantly, I'm so excited to talk about her book. Babe, you look so stunning.
Thank you. Hello. You look absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here.
This is wonderful. It's been too long, so I'm so thankful to be here today with you and everyone there. I'm so honored. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And I know that you're here. I know a lot's been going on in your life, and I'm not going to talk about that. You talk about whatever you feel comfortable with. But I knew that, on my show over the last 9 months, thanks to TELUS, we've been able to bring a lot of inspiring local Canadians here. And I thought that, Lindsay is here and I'm just going to reach out and you could maybe say yes or no. And this is literally the last week of live streaming. Like our whole big production ended like a couple of weeks ago. And then I had this opportunity to get a few more individuals on. And I wasn't sure if you'd be able to come in because I know you're here with your family and with everything going on. So the fact that you could join us, I'm so happy because I do see you as a very inspiring person who has done a lot in her life.
Thank you so much, Zara. That means a lot coming from you, who also has done so much. Like, you have just lit up the city, this whole country of ours, and I couldn't be more thankful to have you in my life. You're a soul sister, so thank you.
My pleasure. So with everyone who comes on the show, I love to talk about their story. Like we know you from TV shows, from movies, where sometimes, most of the times you're the good girl, sometimes you've also been the bad girl. You played all these different roles, you've done all these movies. Many people may recognize her from all the work that she's done. But you started out as a model, but I want to kind of backtrack because that's what I do with everyone who comes on the show and talk about how and where their journey first got started. Like, did you always know you were going to be a performer?
I did. I'm going to date myself quite a bit here, but I started on, do you remember the old TV series 21 Jump Street?
I do! With Johnny Depp!
Yes.
I do! Oh my god!
So I was the child on it for a couple of episodes. I was in an episode with him and Holly Robinson Pete. It was so much fun, and that's how I got the acting bug. So ever since then, my parents were so wonderful. They were so supportive. They're like, what else is she gonna do, really? Because she's such a little firecracker. So that's where I started, and they were so great. So we lived out in Mission, British Columbia, growing up, and both my parents worked. So it was hard to go for auditions in Vancouver and whatnot, but sometimes my mom would take the day off, or if I booked a show, she would drive me there, stay for the 12 hours that we were there.
Really?
Yeah, my parents are amazing, and it was such a blessing because I got to grow up with it. However, when I graduated from high school and got my own license, I was able to drive myself back and forth. So Mission is about an hour and a half away from Vancouver. So
it's past Hope, and I was in Hope like almost about a month ago. We were filming something there.
Oh, nice.
Like the Hope Slide area. It's so beautiful because you're just surrounded by mountains. And so how far further is Mission from?
Actually, it's on the other side.
On the other side.
Yeah, and it's just a little bit before Hope.
Okay.
I actually just did that drive, so I know it very clearly in my head. It's about half an hour before Hope, but it's across parallel to Abbotsford.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Beautiful area, because
So
I see you on
beautiful.
Instagram, like,
Yeah.
you know, photos from your dad's beautiful
Mhm.
property. I don't even want to use the word garden, because I'm like, that looks so healing. It just
Yeah.
looks so calming.
It is. It really is. And I mean, I grew up there, and now I appreciate it, you know, 20, 30 years later, of the craftsmanship that he puts into it, the care, the TLC, you know. And when I was growing up, I didn't see that kind of beauty. I mean, I acknowledged it, but it's not the same as, you know, now what it is. I get it now. Yeah. So
Really embracing it. And I feel like
Mhm.
after like living abroad, like for myself, after living in Paris and traveling, when I came back to Vancouver, I really appreciate the mountains and like the clean beaches.
Yes.
And you're walking down the street, and I feel like in Paris, I'm certainly holding my purse a little bit tighter. I would
Mhm.
always wear a crossbody.
Yeah.
You're not just like la-di-da, like you have to
Right.
be so aware of like your surroundings, because you know, obviously it's way more people in Vancouver. It's not as busy. So how did you, you know, okay, so you do this job, 21 Jump Street. Are you able to say like around how old you were?
Oh yeah, I
Under
was
10,
Oh
5?
yes, I was 7.
Ah!
Yeah, I was so
So you were a
cute.
wee one.
I was so wee. I was this little blonde. I mean, still kind of
Still
am.
a blonde.
But yes, and we called my nickname was Ducky, because I had this little duck hair. I had very sparse hair, and it just kind of flew all over the place. And so my nickname growing up was Ducky, and so I don't know. They hired a little baby duck. So
I love that. That's so cute. So how did you go from there? So you performed? Did you get to meet Johnny Depp?
I
Like,
did.
Okay.
Oh, my mom was really happy.
Oh.
I mean, back in the 80s, Johnny Depp of the 80s especially, you know, and she said he couldn't have been kinder. So that was great and very helpful, because she was spending long days on set, and, you know, and I didn't have a lead role in this series, but they still treated me, and I got a really nice bouquet of flowers from the director too. I'll never forget that. You know, little things like that that are etched in our memories, it goes a long way.
It really does, and I'm
Yeah.
sure it's those moments where you're like, okay, this is a crossroads. This is the time where I find out, okay, what path I'm gonna take, because I'm sure that I don't know how many people from your high school or elementary school have gone on to have the type of career that you've had, right? Like,
Thank you.
because there's some people who I know, like, okay, several of these people went to like school with like Ryan Reynolds or
Mhm.
something, and apparently Seth Rogen went to the same school, or like all of a
Yeah.
sudden all these famous artsy people that went to the same place. But I feel like someone like you maybe didn't see that growing up. Did you?
Not that's a great thing to say, because not so much, but a lot of artists, a lot of local artists do live in Mission. It's a very artsy
Really?
town, yes. And actually, Carly Rae Jepsen came
No-
from
oh, yes,
Mission.
that's
Yes,
true,
so
that's true.
I mean, I think it's the drinking water there.
Yeah.
A lot of fabulous
Yeah,
artists
I
come
need
out
to
of
now
there.
go visit Mission.
It's great.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so at age 7, you book this role. You're with Johnny Depp. You get acknowledged by the director. You get this bouquet of flowers. Your mom is there with you. And then from then on, what is the trajectory? Because you also got into modeling, and you know, you did a lot of that. You did acting. Like, take us through like what really happened, like how your journey shifted. Because I find that it's those stories, like when we share with people who are like, oh, I could have a career like Lindsay's as well. I
Right.
could be someone who's perhaps someone watching this, I don't know, in another small town,
Totally.
or maybe in Mission as well.
Yeah.
Who's like, I could have maybe like a similar career or similar path.
Yeah, that's well stated. So it was always my dream, and I think I made it known. You know, I told all my acting drama teachers, I was in every school play. So I think really doing the local community theater, if you're in a small town, or even if you're in a town as large as Vancouver, just get yourself known and put yourself out there. It's daunting at first, of course, but it's so imperative that you do that, and I love that. And so I have the community support, and support across the board is vital. if you don't get that, say from your parents or your peers, I still think that self-work and belief in yourself is what it's going to take to be able to sustain any career, but especially in the arts.
Completely.
Yeah.
And because dealing with so much rejection, dealing with so much, it's like to be honest, like I'm going through that right now. Sorry guys, if you hear in the background, that's my little doggy. He's in his little crate because sometimes he's acting like a little bad boy. It's Mr. Loki, Loki, you're gonna have to behave. So, I'm going through this right now. I was up for this job, on an Apple show. Like it would have been a couple of days of work, and then you're doing all these like auditions. And then when you don't book the job, you get the call back, all of this. And I know some people are like, I don't take it personally. And I wish I could be that person. But it's like, and I think little by little, I'm starting to be like, perhaps for now, I'm just going to focus more on me, of Zara, being just Zara, because I know that that's storytelling and sitting down with people and talking about their heart. And I feel like that's my thing, and focus my energy on like what really works. So I would love to hear how, it's like you've been in this industry for a long time. You're taking a little break right now. You wrote your book. I do think there's another one on the way. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
And we'll get to the book shortly as well. But you've had, this career. You were modeling for a while and then, acting as well. And a lot of this is like you're on camera. You're on camera. And I remember there was this time, like I talk about this often, like when I was in my early 20s, like not anymore, where I was like measuring myself and and that. And because so much of your mind can be like, I need to look and be certain measurements, like, like the focus on beauty and what beauty means. And so you've been, on in front of the camera as an actress, as a model, and like, how has that formulated and how has the idea of beauty changed for you over the years?
Great question. You are just banging this out. Like, all right, let's get to this. I love it. Thank you. Because that is something that I think we all struggle with, and being in front of the camera, which does distort your look a little bit, lighting, everything like that, and then the peer pressure or society's pressure. You feel like you have to play that game, and I felt privy to it. I did, and I was like, oh gosh, and back in the early 2000s, a size 0 was all the rage, and I'm like, what the heck is a size 0? Yes. So I was like, well, gosh, I'm not a size 0, and I love food. Oh, I'm a spaghettiaholic certified. And so I don't know. I was very hypercritical of myself, especially when I would see a film of mine. I'm like, do I really look like that? Do I really sound like that? When you hear yourself on the answering machine or something like that, a playback. But then I just let it go. At the end of the day, they hired me to play a different character. It's not Lindsay. It's this character. So it really didn't have a lot to do with me at that point. They would do my makeup different on set. They would do my hair different, wardrobe. Everything was just different. So I just was like, okay, I'm fully committed to playing this character. And then I didn't make it so much about myself. And in modeling, it was a little different because, it is very visual. You give attitude to the camera, but it's still like they're looking for a certain type. So.
And when did you decide, like, okay, you had this like acting bug because of, working on 21 Jump Street, and how did you end up in modeling?
Yeah, so it just kind of coincided with it. I enjoy taking a picture, and I love the camera. And
because, it's like you look stunning, like, like I leave it up to you of like, talking about like your age, but it's like, I feel like from even like 10 years ago, I remember like interviewing you on the red carpet, or it's just like you're a big wellness advocate. You're really into health and fitness and working out. If anything, she's trained me. Like when I moved back from Paris, and I was like, I don't know what to do. You're like, Zara, just come with me. I'll show you. I remember there were some guys that were being kind of weird at the gym, and you're like, I'm gonna come and kick their, you know what? You know, you're amazing. You know, I'm just so glad we get to sit here and have this moment, and you're able to make time. So let's talk about, like, you know, getting into modeling, and that, because you're obviously still modeling, but you work quite a bit as a social media influencer, a wellness advocate. Like, you know, I see your content online. So, and I do feel like social media is very powerful for that, where it's like, okay, you can, you know, you have your image in your own hands. Like, you can decide how you want to show up, versus like the version of like some creative director or some other photographer or designer. But you did start out modeling, and that's how we originally met.
That's right. Yeah, and I remember that runway show. That was so fab. And those,
you were so stunning.
So were you. Those dresses were amazing. Yeah. So I just, alongside my acting career, I just did modeling, and it was seamless to me, because I think even no matter what the camera is, I still kind of like get into character, even though it's authentically me at the essence. It's still a little character of how we want to portray ourselves, you know, like high fashion, or, you know, more into athletics. You know, you're playing a different role, but I just segued into that. It was really neat.
Is that something that you feel like you want to continue doing? Because, you know, honestly, I'll be honest and share like my story a little bit. Like, when I was in my 20s, like, there's no way I thought that in my 40s I'm going to be still being photographed, that designers would still want to work with me. You know, all these things would still happen for me, because I'm not gonna lie, when I was 20 something, I thought 40 something was like ancient. It was like, you know, versus now, I just feel like so in my skin. I just feel like I wish I could go back in time and be like, girl, like, embrace this.
Totally.
Like, you are in your prime. But I feel like I have that now, because, you know, wisdom which comes from being hurt and like growing and all of that. So how has that journey been for you, and getting into content creation alongside your acting journey, which we'll talk about as well, because I find that really inspiring, because you share your workouts, your travels, you've been around the world, and like, you know, you were living in Vancouver, you're traveling everywhere, like, I don't know, Brazil, Hawaii, like everywhere, you know, you're going. And I think one of the things that I love about your social media, and especially your Sunday posts, is like you really allow people to go through like and share like what you're also going as well, instead of just like, okay, here's a pretty picture, or this is just it.
I mean, I love the pretty pictures. Those are fun.
You look great.
Thank you. And to piggyback what you said, I mean, you're right. So I'm 102 years old. No, I'm just kidding. I'm also in my 40s. And I find that the hardships, the trials, the experiences, the fun, the just everything, the myriad of life expansion has actually made me a better actress, model, content creator, human being. You know, that's really what it's all about. And I value all the things that happen leading up to this. And at the time, as we know, when you're going through a heartache or growing pains or struggles, like, can we just fast forward this and get to the good part? But it's going through that and feeling it and sitting with it that just, you know, it seasons us. And I mean, doesn't food taste better when we're marinated? So
I love that.
Well, I always quit.
You're so good with words.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I always like to equate things to food because I'm such a foodie. So
I love that. So I know we'll jump back into the acting career in a second as well. I would love to talk about your book, your cup of tea. I love this photo.
Thank you.
And it's available. It was at Barnes & Noble?
Correct. It's Barnes & Noble.
Girl, what? I know. I'm so proud of you.
Dream come true. Dream come true.
Honey.
Yeah. We're having fun with this one.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Stop.
I love it. Okay, I'm gonna just open this book up at any point.
That's the point of it, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm gonna see what message I get.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Carry on, keep living. make a life for yourself while you are able. You don't need anyone's permission.
Okay, goosebumps.
With all the love I can muster. Lindsay Maxwell. Ah, that makes me emotional a little bit.
It's funny that you picked up on that one because it's so relevant to our careers, where we're at in life. So yeah, but that is the point of the book. Is it's a little coffee table or a tea table read, and you just pick it up, and hopefully there's a message for you.
Lindsay, that's so beautiful. That makes me emotional.
Aww.
Because it's like I've been going through some stuff and like last minute planning for like the Paris Olympics, and it was such a last minute decision, and then like your own fears and insecurities can come up, and it's like, are things going to line up? But they actually are. So tell me about the process and the inspiration behind writing this book.
I will tell you, actually.
Yeah.
So that book has been 8 years in the making. 8 long years. I just never found the time to do it because I was always auditioning and driving, and but I had a lot of content, a lot of things stirring up in my head, and I was like, but you know what COVID was good for? Time, self-reflection. And I had the time finally, and so I hired a publishing agency, gave it all to them, an editor, all the things that I had just put off and procrastinated over the past. And I finally, most of the content in that book happened after 2018. And 2018 was a very pivotal year for me. I went through some big changes in my life, and I was like, all the stuff I wrote after 2018, most of it is in that book because, again, seasoned. Yeah,
I love that. And I know on your social media, on your Instagram page, which we'll share because you can follow Lindsay, and on your social media, like you do these Sunday blog posts.
Yes.
And you were also doing like a while back like these videos, like reading chapters from your book, which I thought was very sweet and inspiring, and even just for me to pick up and open that, because sometimes you either need like that angel or like the come out and be like, what, I believe in you.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes it's just like picking up a book and being like, oh yes, it's out of our control. We can and should do what we think is best.
Yeah.
I love that. I think
Same.
that. So tell me about like the whole journey of writing this book and what you feel like the response has been with the audience.
Thank you. Well, again, support has been amazing. Like the community support from my network and just people that have seen my journey along the way. I mean, I've been in the public eye for 102 years. I've been in the public eye since I was 7. So
wow.
Yeah, and it's just so nice that people have followed my career, followed what I write, and stayed by my side. So that was huge. And I had been talking about it for a few years now, like I'm gonna do it, and finally I did it, and it feels so good to start something, say you're gonna do it, and accomplish it, and it comes into fruition. A lot of it is, okay, I'm gonna actually let you in on a little secret.
Please.
Okay,
please.
a lot of my book is my personal diary, but the reason why I named it Your Cup of Tea is because it's for you, because I know we all go through so much, like it's like what I'm feeling, a lot of us feel, it's just not a lot of us talk about it.
That's it.
And we're a little shy, and so I word it in a way which I hope speaks to people's hearts, and your people find you, and it's a little sassy because I wrote it, and but it has personality. I always like when people ask me the genre of the book. I'm like, well, it's kind of like Chicken Soup for the Soul, only a little bit
spicy. I love it. Yeah. You gotta have a little zing.
You do have to have a little zing.
It's
because
just
life
like,
isn't. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
please.
no. That's like, I feel like there's so many inspirational and this and that books. I like the ones that make. I think you should like read this and like have this on Audible or something.
Yeah, actually, that's so funny. Get out of my head. She's telling all my secrets. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's in the making. That's in the works. I'm gonna be doing a trilogy with this. So yeah. So
I
that's
love
coming
that.
up, my dearest. And yeah, And I mean, I like to read out my own books, and you know, like you had mentioned on Instagram, I do read my own content and with a cup of tea, and it's just fun.
I love that.
It's like I get to visit with everyone.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So tell me what the writing process was like for you, because I know, like, having written a book as a ghostwriter, so my name wasn't on it. Like, I wrote a book in Paris, but it's like, it was for someone else. Like, I'd interviewed them before. We would do like these Zoom meetings, but it's like about the power of subconscious mind and this and that. Of course, so much easier to write for someone else than for yourself. And I'm like, when I got my new MacBook, I was like, I will write a book. And this was last October, and that has not happened.
It's okay. You've been busy. You've been busy. Yeah.
You know, so I would love to hear like your process of like what that was like, and you know how you got over the procrastination bit, because like even for me, like having deadlines and obviously like someone else being on me and the fact that they're paying me for this was the motivation to finish writing the book.
Yeah.
And then when it's just you, you're like, oh, there's like 10 million things to do. Laundry, dishes, take a trip. take a trip.
That's my answer for everything. It's actually true. And, you know, like, we are so, like, I wanted everything to be perfect. Just perfect. I'm militant in that regard.
Virgo!
You know? Right, it's a Virgo thing. I was going to say, it's such a Virgo thing. And so, you know, my spelling, I pride myself on my spelling, diction, you know, punctuation, all that kind of stuff. But still, I've got the editor, but you're right, my time. And so I was afraid to show this to the world before I felt it was perfect. And that's probably what took me the 8 years. So I wouldn't do that again. I would just, you know, I'm very proud of this, but at the same time, it could have been printed sooner. So I think that's a little lesson for me, is just how precious our time is, really. And you know, the world needs beauty. The world needs inspiration. It needs authenticity. It needs a little spice, you know? So yeah, and the process, once I decided, it was that easy. I had the right team. They didn't have to hound me. I was so excited to get it out and see what it looked like. I hired a photographer for the cover, and
I love this photo. It's got a vintage kind of flair to it.
Yeah, I got my hair professionally done. I was wearing a pink polka dot dress, and that's me. And it was just fabulous. And you'll never believe where does this picture look like it was taken?
In a hotel?
Actually, yes, but in a hotel in Las Vegas
on
a busy Tuesday.
Oh wow!
But you would never think.
No, it looks like it's just you in there. I love this.
Yeah.
You know, photo and the dreamy kind of vibe, and like, you know, you're looking off.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So, like I said, once I decided to do it, it just got done, and I think that's pertinent information for how we live life. You know, like when you decide to do something, it just kind of conspires with you, and it's like, okay, I can do this. And then having confidence in yourself and executing that. I mean, life is meant to be lived, and so often I find, now I'm going off on a tangent, but
I really want to talk about this.
Okay, but so often we find that we have unlimited time. You know, we are blessed, we are young. I feel like 40s is very young. I still feel like I'm on the cusp of something great. I actually do. I'm just like waiting for it to unfold. However, do you remember that song, Everyone's Free to Wear Sunscreen?
Yes, I love that.
By Yes. So, now I've got goosebumps again. So it's, you know, was I going to quote? No, there was a quote there. It's like, oh, enjoy the power and beauty of your youth. Oh, never mind. You'll never appreciate the power and beauty until it's faded. You know, so it's so true. It's like, I mean, to me, beauty will never fade. Yeah, like beauty is just eternal. Youth, yeah, it fades. You know, when I'm 99, I'll probably look back at when I'm, you know, 40 something and be like, oh, I was so young. Such a dish back then. Excuse me while I put my false teeth back in. It's been a while since I've been on a show, so I'm all acting different characters.
I love it. You are you're funny, you're beautiful, and you're inspiring, because I think like so much of this is because of knowing you and, you know, personal things also about you over the years, and we stayed in touch while I was in Paris, and I feel like we really, really connected, and I think just like I'm not gonna go into it, but like knowing your journey and like how you've just like believed in the power of your dreams. I feel, Lindsay, like you really, you've been through things, but then you you just believed in a beautiful future, and that's exactly what you're saying, and that's something I do want to talk about, because all these things, these different hats that you wear, like a wellness advocate, influencer, fitness,
Yeah.
beauty influencer, actress, author, like model, all these different things, you don't have like a manager, you don't have a boss, you don't have, like the benefits, like the kind
Right.
of, it's like being self-employed, it takes so much discipline, but at the same time, that fantastical thinking or magical thinking, like believing that anything is possible, because I really feel like you have that, like you really believed in things, like before. So I have to tell you guys,
What you gonna say?
you are so sweet. It kind of makes me a little bit emotional because you've been part of my story, right? Like
Yeah.
I came back from Paris like just before COVID, and and all the changes. And in my home,
Sorry.
no, here, but we can move this too.
Thanks.
In my,
Well,
and we can
it's
move it
it's
as well.
a
Yeah,
little-
get comfy, get.
Now we're sibling.
Yeah, okay, good. In my home, I have things that belong to Lindsay, like like my little magnet on my fridge
Yeah.
that says like lions, tigers, and bears.
Oh my.
Oh my! And then a little. The red ruby slippers
Yes.
and then some cups, and like I have clothes and dresses, like things with your like energy and like your love that you gave to me. But it's also I feel like the thinking of like I think it takes, you need to be a forever optimist. It doesn't mean that we pretend that things don't happen,
Right.
that and not feel the pain,
Mhm.
because we go through those trials and tribulations. But just seeing and witnessing your journey over the years, I would just love to hear, and I'm sure you talk about it in the book, what is your thought process like when you go through the challenging times, like what carries you through? So someone out there, perhaps they're an artist, or someone could be a CEO who's like watching this later,
Yeah.
that because I do think when I speak with whether it's like athletes or like I've had like captains of like Whitecap and like BC Line
Wow.
athletes, and like many different people come and sit here and share their story.
Yeah.
I do think there's like a thorough line in people, because doesn't mean that things don't happen to them.
Right.
Challenging things, that even though they're trembling and they're full of fear, they still go out and do things. So I would love to hear like what that has been like for you. What do you think it is about yourself, and how do you think that that's carried you through? Sorry, that's a long-winded.
No,
because I just want to take
appreciate
knowledge.
it. And I want to give
Yeah.
to you and to whomever's watching this a really thoughtful and conscientious response. And I'm going to say first, my faith. My faith is very vital in my life, and it always has been. It's carried me through, and so that is number one. I feel divinely protected, even though things will happen. That's part of the human experience, but I do feel, that strong within me. Also, I was raised really well with parents that believed in me, and they were my number one cheerleaders. But they pushed me. I mean, I've been working since I was a little kid, and my family owned a hair salon in Mission, and I worked there after school from the age of 12. So I got to talk to so many different people, and during the hardships and the resilience and belief, I used to look to the exterior for self-validation, and if this person thought my hair looked good, then okay, it was good. But if that person thought it was bad, then it can get confusing and turbulating and just like,
and especially when you're in the public eye, especially
Absolutely.
when you're going for auditions all the time, like
Yeah.
in person, or whether you're a model and you're getting measured, or if someone's like, this doesn't fit you,
Right.
like
Yeah,
it's like a model's nightwear.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I struggle just as we all have, but I genuinely like myself, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't get to say out loud. Like I think my values align with my lifestyle. I mean, gosh, I'm definitely not perfect. I've been through so many mistakes where I'm like, why did I do that? But it's myself. I've chosen the people around me, and I think really just.
But how did that mindset came to you? Because were you always like that? Was that an innate knowing because of your childhood, or it's like?
Yeah, but you know, in life nothing is perfect.
No.
I think it is just an innate knowing and just knowing myself, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because there's all of it within us. I mean, I'm going to just throw this out there. A lot of characters I play are total sweethearts. Like, it basically feels like I'm playing myself, you know, in some of the network movies and Christmas movies, you know. And
she's been in over 50 plus films.
Oh, like, yeah.
It's like,
yeah, it's
sort of like, wow, right?
Yeah, it is. You know, it's so funny because I don't really like think about that, but then having a dear friend like you remind me, I'm like, oh gosh, it's been a trip.
It's a big number. Like, that's the amount that someone could be in, like, you know, throughout their entire career. Like, that's a huge number. So tell me about the experience of being on set and, like, you know, all these films that you've been on. Like, how do you feel when you get a job, when you book a job, and then when you're on set? Tell me about that feeling. Because it's like also that. You're working long hours too.
Right. Oh yeah, that. But it's so funny because they feed you, so I feel like as long as they have craft services coming I'm fine.
Yeah. Give me a beer.
And I love to sleep, so I always make sure that I get enough sleep in. And but sorry, as you know, there's nothing that gives you that feeling like when you worked so hard on booking something and then you get it and it's like yes, but then that's when the real work starts. And I'm very disciplined in that regard. Like, I will study my lines, I will have early nights, I'll wake up early, I'll exercise, you know. I'm very very disciplined when it comes to that. And then being on set, it's the best. They do your hair, they do your makeup, they feed you, you get your own trailer. It's awesome. And you're around like-minded people that want to tell a story. You're with creative types. You're with people that do lighting. Like, there are people that even mark your spot. I mean, everybody plays their role to make a vision happen. And isn't that the coolest thing? I mean, you're creating a film, and we all know how films and media touches our hearts. I mean, it's storytelling in the 21st century.
And we went through it like during COVID, you know. It's like everyone watched everything. We devoured all the shows. We devoured all the shows, and they recognize, like, it's like, you know, okay, we need to make so much more content because people are just watching it, right?
Yeah.
So are you good at, like, memorizing all the lines? I feel like
I am such a nerd. I am.
Really? Tell me everything.
Okay, so I got really great advice from an acting coach way back when I was quite young, and she said, memorize it flat. Don't try to put emotion into it. Just memorize the words. And I do. I have a photographic memory, and I still remember my phone number from like when I was 5. So
really,
I remember people's birthdays, middle names, and like so much. It's interesting. Let's just say I have an interesting brain.
Wow,
Lindsay. It's kind of like my parlor trick. If I go out at night, I can impress people with that. I could be a magician, maybe. I don't know.
Wow.
But
honestly, that's so impressive because I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm just realizing, I don't know, maybe that's just me. I feel like I am terrible at remembering people's names because I talk to so many people.
Wow. Yeah.
And, like, you know, I wish. Please forgive me, guys. Like, I am like that person where people be like, "Hi, Zara." I'm like, "Hi."
But you probably remember their faces.
Yes.
Yeah, or their essence.
Yes.
You know, which is just as good. I mean, there's so many people.
But I feel like a lot of the great actors, when you hear, they'll be like, "Yeah," like, and when someone from set will be like, "Oh, yes, like, so and so made me feel so comfortable. They can't believe they remembered my name and my birthday and whatever. I mentioned it just once." So that's so cool.
Yeah, thanks.
So I would love to talk about, is there a particular role that you played or a movie? I'm sure it's hard to say, but like maybe 1, 2, 3 that you could name off the top of your head that you're like, wow, when I was on that set, or maybe this one day on like a little show that I worked on that just like really stands out for me.
Yeah. I'm going to mention 2 experiences. My first one was with an acting coach. And I was 13 years old. I was the youngest in the class. It was a big deal coming up from Little Mission to be in big Vancouver and be the youngest child. And you know who my acting coach was? John Ritter from Three's Company. He has since passed, but he wrote my agent at the time a beautiful letter saying, this girl's going to go far, keep your eye on her. And I will never forget that. I was 13, so that was awesome.
Yeah.
And
we always need someone like believing in us, and you're like, he believed in me.
Yeah, it was John
if
Ritter.
if he believes in me, then that's it.
Totally. Yeah. And then a role that I really enjoyed playing, she was she taught me a lot. Her name was Liz. It was in a movie called The Wrong Patient, directed by David Strasser.
Is that when you have your darker hair?
Yes, a little bit darker, and it was interesting. It was kind of like a thriller movie. But what I liked about it, what it taught me, and I wanted to say this is, being an actor is like, you get to play these total sweeties, or I've played an alien before, weird. And, I have.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, actually.
Like a hot alien.
Actually was supposed to be like,
Character named Hot Alien.
Hot Alien, yeah. Oh no. But like this film, The Wrong Patient, was she was damaged from, and so, and she did a lot of crazy things in this film. Like she was, she was who she was. But I had to find compassion and empathy for her background to be able to portray this complicated character. So in essence, I just had to find, so
I think your picture's on the poster, right?
it is.
Yeah, and I remember being like, wow, this is such a different side to
Yeah.
you, because
Thank goodness.
I see you as this, but I'm sure as an actor playing a role like that, was it kind of more fun for you? Because you're being not Lindsay, because people are used to being like, every time I would see you like in Yaletown, in our neighborhood, whatever, you're always like, hi.
Yeah.
I think you're all from like workout or go to the gym, like literally.
With you, girly girl. So yeah, I mean, of course, it's so much fun not to play yourself and to get away with it and just go to those places. But what's interesting? Like when you watch yourself on film, or perform, I can always tell when I'm like, I know exactly what I had to, like they yelled cut and I was eating the donut in the background, like I could see that. But when I watched this particular film, I didn't see Lindsay. And that was interesting for me. It was the very first time that like I didn't even have myself or the way I perceive myself in it. So that was really cool.
You must have been proud of the fact that you're able to stretch yourself, right? Like to be someone who's so opposite. To who you are, and most of the roles that you book where you're just like, like in Hallmark movies or other like romantic movies, the beautiful girlfriend or wife, or
hey, I'll take that. That'd be scary alien. But I mean, it of course it was really neat, and again, a sense of accomplishment.
Amazing. So I would love to talk about transitioning to your work as like a social media influencer, content creator. You've created content like around the world, you've traveled, like you're very much a health and wellness advocate, and like just sharing your journey with people. When did you know that was something that you wanted to do? Because I know some actors, like even for me, because I do that on my platform too, like but even when I was in Paris, like I remember like some of the influence around me, some people were like, don't share so much, like it's like like, and I realize now, I'm like, don't you realize, like for me that's actually a job. Like if you're gonna judge me because of my social media, because there can be pros and cons also in the acting industry around being a content creator, and I'm like, why are you being a hater?
Right. I mean, sometimes it's like, it's good if you do or it's good if you don't, and at the end of the day it has to be about what you find is real for you. And I think it's a neat age and day that we live in. I mean, sometimes I'll be filming something and my dad's like, why are you filming this? Like, this is just everyday life. And I'm like, because it's interesting. Everyday life, it's actually
more interesting than something that is very like produced or fashion or whatever, whatnot. Like I find like sometimes like I'll just be like even sweaty or whatever, like out of all my content, my workout gym stuff, the most amount of the amount of messages I get or comments, I'm like, I never thought people would be so interested in.
Isn't that a neat lesson? No, but actually, because it makes us feel vulnerable, relatable, all those things. It's and I think now more than ever, us collectively as human beings want to feel connected to one another, and the outside sources, sometimes we're feeling such a disconnection, but really what the human spirit wants is this and reality. So that's why I think, you and all your beautiful glowy glory when you're at the gym. I mean, look at you at the gym. It's the best thing ever.
But Linz, I have to tell you, you really inspired me. I remember no, honey, I have to tell you this. There have been times, I remember for me, it was when I came back from Paris, I wasn't in such a great shape, and you were like, girl, come with me to the gym. We're going to work out. I will show you. I'll be your trainer. And I sometimes have those photos. Oh my God, don't even ask what's going on with my hair. It was in the growth phase. No, but you were just so sweet, and you were we would work out and do sauna afterwards, and I was always and you made it seem so you were Zara, every day just 30 minutes in the gym and then sauna. You do this and it's just that self-care, and then you make the smoothie and I'd come over and you make the coffee with the cinnamon. Honey, I remember these things. And even today, she brought me coffee and I'm just it's so thoughtful and positive and infectious, and I get it. You go through life stuff as well, but it did have an impact on me, so I have to tell you that, right? Because I'm the type of person who believes that if you see the good in someone, if someone impacted you positively, you have to tell them. You can't just keep it to yourself.
Totally, yeah. Thank you. Now I'm the emotional one. And quick segue. So my now husband, him and I were just dating at the time, and he said, and he went down into the gym and he said he came back upstairs. He's like, there's a really pretty girl around your age, I think, and she's doing your routine. That must be Zara. Isn't that cute?
Because you literally were you're okay, now we're gonna work, on our, and I'm why do we need to do this, Lindsay? I think it's I remember you, I will never, and she's okay, honey, come on, you can push yourself, and I remember when being able to do and you increased your weight from 5 pounds to the 8 pounds, I was a proud friend. Yes, so you were my initial, but I love, how you share, the positive energy and your travels, or everything that you're doing, because I do think it's really important. I love that quote on Instagram where people are share your life, share your story, and you just don't know who needs to see that, hey, you know what, there is a silver lining. People who know you, all the things, because it's a roller coaster. It's not always just up and up.
No, and it's not linear either. And Zara, you alluded to some of the hardships that we've had, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And I've never publicly spoken about it, but if you do enough deep diving, you'll find out. But it's not to sound but even that brought me to right here, right now. And I can't even be angry at that. I'm not angry at that. That was forgiven years ago. And now it's I actually look at it as probably my biggest blessing in life. But I'm not exempt, and we as humans are not exempt from it, even though if we're having a good season, we might have a bad chapter in the book, or a bad season, or rain will come, all of those quotes. But I'm no stranger to pain. I'm no stranger to hardship. I'm no stranger to heartbreak. But it just made me feel closer to myself, to God, and to friends and family. So.
I love that. I feel like we've had all these beautiful laughs and moments, because I know that we can go on forever.
We could go on forever.
I know you have appointments things, and and time to spend with your dad, which is also very important. Is there something that before we let you go that you would like to share that we haven't touched on, that's something that you would like to say, or just an update that you would like to share with us?
Oh, thank you. Well, first and foremost, eat carbs.
Yes!
Yes.
Pasta! We love
Pasta!
pasta!
Yes, that will keep you happy in
Yeah.
life. Take baths if you can. And honestly, just be kind. Be kind and be patient. Be like, we are created in this beautiful image. We're created out of love and harmony and goodness, and we all have, like I said, good, bad, and ugly within us. But let's operate from what we were innately created from. Let's remember who we are, and let's act accordingly together. I will make that pledge, and I would love to. I think a little bit of kindness goes a long way. Do you know how good it feels when you get a smile from a stranger, or a random compliment? It's just be kind.
I love that, and I know that's who you are. It's who you are. Like, I haven't seen you in a million years, and I'm just so grateful we get to have this together. I'm so grateful you're able to make time. I know there's a lot happening, but thank you so much. I know we could dig deep into just so many things, but we've already spent a lot of time here together. So I'll share Lindsay's contact information for her social media, and you can follow her. You can follow along with her journey, her upcoming books, not just another book, but books. And I feel like maybe in the future, a podcast. I don't know, because I feel like you have a lot to say.
The world is our oyster.
Oyster, completely.
But Sarah, thank you, and thank you for having me on. This is such a treat and an honor, and I feel so blessed. So thank you.
Yeah, no, you're a delight. I knew that because I really wanted to end like the season, these last 9 months. I feel like it's even been longer than 9 months, with a very high note, with like very inspiring and positive guests, to bring them on here to highlight their stories, but also to share more with our audience, because I was supposed to finish filming a couple of weeks ago, which I'm done, but I was like, you know what, there's just a few more people that I think I would love to bring on and share this time with them, to this way I selfishly get to have some one-on-one time.
Some girl time. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Well, Lindsay Maxwell, you need to grab her book, your cup of tea, and then we'll share her contact information. If you felt inspired or this episode moved you in any way, please do get in touch. I would love to hear from you. Lindsay would love to hear from you.
I would.
Until next time, I'm your host, Zara Durrani, and you're watching On Location with Zara, produced with the support of TELUS Story Hive. Thank you for watching. Okay, cut.
Oh,
I'm going to
that's
stop the
fantastic.
live stream.
That was so fun.
Thank you.